Okay, let's see. Functions. What are functions? Okay, so when first learning how to calculate the area of a rectangle, there's a sequence of steps to calculate the correct answer. Measure the width of the rectangle, measure the height of the rectangle, multiply the width and the height of the rectangle. With practice, you can calculate the area of the rectangle without being instructed with these 3 steps every time. We can calculate the area of one rectangle with the following code. Const width equal 10, const height equal 6, const area equal width multiplied by height, and which will log to the console output 60. So imagine being asked to calculate the area of 3 different rectangles. So const width, const height, const area. In programming, we often use code to perform a specific task multiple times. Instead of rewriting the same code, we can group a block of code together and associate it with one task. Then we can reuse that block of code whenever we need to perform the task again. We achieve this by creating the function. A function is a reusable block of code that groups together a sequence of statements to perform a specific task. In this lesson, you'll learn how to create and use functions and how they can be used to create a clearer and more concise code. Instructions. Take a look at the provided GIF. It shows a function named add one side, adding an additional side to different shape inputs. Notice how there is only one function represented by the box that is used to transform individual shapes inputs into new shapes outputs. Okay, so function declarations. In JavaScript, there are many ways to create a function. One way to create a function is by using a function declaration. Just like our variable declaration binds a value to a variable name, a function declaration binds a function to a name or an identifier. Take a look at the anatomy of the function declaration below. So function keyword identifier, which is greet world, and then the curly braces, which is the function body, and then console.log hello world. A function declaration consists of the function keyword, the name of the function or its identifier, followed by the parentheses, a function body or the block of statements required to perform a specific task, enclosed in the function's curly braces. A function declaration is a function that is bound to an identifier or name. In the next exercise, we'll go over how to run the code inside the function body. We should also be aware of the hoisting feature in JavaScript, which allows access to function declarations before they're defined. Take a look at the example of hoisting. Greet world, function greet world, console.log hello world. So the output is hello world. So the function is called, or the argument is made before the function body. Okay, interesting. Notice how hoisting allowed greet world to be called before the greet world function was defined. Since hoisting isn't considered good practice, we simply want you to be aware of this feature. All right, so if you want to read more about hoisting, check out MDN documentation on hoisting. So let's create a function that prints a reminder to the console. Using a function declaration, create a function called getReminder. Let's create a function. Let's create a function that prints a reminder to the console. Using a function declaration, create a function called getReminder. Okay, so let's start off by calling the function getReminder. Then just don't forget your curly braces thereafter. And if we run it, okay, that's correct. That's the function. We actually don't need to call function prior to the actual function itself or naming of the function. This is just the ordinary format. There is a shorthand syntax format that we'll get to later that I'll show you guys. So in the function body of getReminder, log the following reminder to the console or to the plants. So console.log the following reminder, which is water the plants. Okay, so now let's create another function that prints a useful Spanish travel phrase to the console using a function declaration. Create a function called greet in Spanish. So function greet in Spanish. Okay, and it says let's run that. Okay, so add code to the function body greet in Spanish. The function body console.log the following phrase to the console: Buenas tardes. Let's run that. All right, and that's all. If you guys have been following my previous lessons and maybe you were a bit confused with the single and double quotes within JavaScript, you can use single or double quotes for strings. It won't affect the program whatsoever. So use single or double quotes for strings within JavaScript. That's still okay. I'm accustomed to double quotes. Yeah. So yeah, you guys can use single quotes if you're comfortable with single quotes. That's also okay. Right. Moving forward.